are live again, guys, but this time I am here with my new co-host and co-producer and head writer. Everybody, meet your boy. See, I still don't know how to point with these things with the live stream, but your boy Chris Mateo, baby.
Hey, what's
I'm
up?
so excited to have you here on the show, man, because I wanted to introduce you first. Because man, you are like the ultimate resource. You were the digital team lead for the FilAms for Biden thing in 2020 that kind of pulled me in and helped me produce what we produced back then. And now we're joining forces again and teaming back up. And I wanted to kind of introduce you to my audience. And also because I feel like I'm going to keep this. I'm starting to learn how to use StreamYard. So this is really, I'm Mitch and I are making adjustments as we go with each production, and then you can also help with that. But yeah, man, I'm happy to welcome you to the team.
Thank you. I'm thank you for having me, and just call me a gopher. Like, we don't have to be a producer or whatever. Just whatever you need.
You're not a gopher, bro. We are equals.
That's what I'm
we are equals. I'm gonna stop that right. I'm gonna nip that shit right in the bud. You are not a gopher for shit. You are an equal to me, because I said this to Mitch when we started doing the Kanakuya podcast. Your voice, your opinion, you have as much weight as I do in this thing, because we're the 1-2 productions. It's not, we're all the 1-2, because we're trying to tell stories that haven't been told before, tell them from a different perspective. So don't discount yourself. Even from jump, I'm already coaching you to not. Don't do that, because
I do want to point something out, because it's been hitting me. I don't know if you can see my shirt, but I got this instead of this is a play on the Warriors of the City, and now it's like the bowl because it's API Heritage Month. I want to point out first and foremost, the one thing that I remember from working with you back in 2020 was you just kept saying, it's Filipino American History Month, so let's go make history. And that has stuck with me ever since. So every time that comes around, I don't know if it works with API Heritage Month. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's API Heritage Month, let's go make a heritage. It doesn't work the same way. But with like,
I feel some pride for it, but at the same time, it doesn't hit as hard as October does.
Yeah. Just I want to point that out, because all the API stuff is in my face. But then whenever something Filipino comes up, I'm like, yeah, let's wait till October, because we're going to make history again. So, but definitely that stuck with me. And so that's just one of many reasons I wanted to work with you. So this is just phenomenal. And I'm just so excited and just grateful that I can even help out even just a little bit. Whatever you need, just I'm here. And so I'm just so excited to see what comes of this. So.
Well, tell us. I mean, I know you, but tell my audience about you. Where'd you get your start? Like, I know you were in college and you were majoring in, what was it again?
English, specifically.
No. But there was a thing where your major went away. Like, your initial major went away or something. Yeah. Like, how does that even work?
Yeah. So life is just all about adapting, right? And so I went to St. Mary's College of California up in the Bay Area, mainly because it was a small school, is exactly what I needed. I'm an only child, so I'm like, I don't really need that much, a huge ass university. But what they had was this major that really fascinated me, which was organizational psychology. It was basically the study of organizations and how we work with people, HR stuff, things like that. But ultimately, how I can take the study of people and their behaviors and really help, employees, workers, systems, organizations, whatever it takes. And I got there, and the first thing, it was cool because my original advisor was this Filipina who I'm actually still friends with, and her daughter and my wife and I are all friends still. And, like, we got along really well. And she pulled me aside. She said, like, I'm happier here. We need more APIs at the school, but your major is going away because nobody signed up for it except for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I thought this was innovative and new. She was, it might be, but not for this school. And so I said, okay, well, let me try psychology for a little bit. I took intro and I was like, no, this isn't for me. This isn't what I signed up for. But luckily I had a good mentor in my freshman English professor. And he just said, like, your writing is just on point. You obviously love it. You're funny. why don't you go write for the newspaper? Why don't you go do, what do you want to do? I said, well, if I'm going to write, I'm going to write something funny because I want to make people laugh. And so ultimately I switched over to become an English major, and, I was just on this path to write sitcoms. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. And shortly after, I met the president of our Asian club, and she was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a sitcom writer. And she didn't laugh at me. She just said, that's amazing. Like, I hope and wish the best for you. And I was like, thank you. That means a lot. And I was trying to date her, and I thought she was going to be like, she's Filipino, and she's like, this is amazing. I was like, oh, you don't care that I'm not going to be a doctor, a lawyer? And she's like, no, I know what I'm going to be. I know that I'm going to be an executive. I know I'm going to change the world, social justice, all this stuff. She goes, I'm just happy that you have something you wanted to do that you're passionate about. I appreciate that. Fast forward 20 years later, we're married. We're now empty nesters. And she's still reminding me, she's like, where's that sitcom, babe? Like, you have it there. You have to submit it. You got to go back to your comedy writing. You don't have a son to, for you to go, oh, he's robbed you of your 20s, and you got to focus on getting a real job and all this stuff. And she's like, we're done with that. We're here now. We got a new house. He's at UC Santa Cruz. Go Banana Slugs. Make this happen. She's like, I've always believed in you, but you gotta do the work and make it happen. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna take my improv class. I'm gonna put it out to the universe. I'm gonna call my friend Erick and be like, hey, you're the pro, you're the stand-up. What do I need to do to make this happen? And he's like, you gotta write for me. I'm like, oh, okay, let's make this happen. What do you need? And he's like, let's just do this. And so you put it out to the universe, especially something that you love so much. And when you have that support of the person in your life that has always believed in you, it's like, I feel unstoppable. So that's where we are. And things have aligned, and you and I have been contacting back and forth for the last few years. I just knew you were the person to just go to and say, whatever this looks like, you're the person I want to learn from and make stuff happen. So,
bro, I appreciate that. Really, I do. And yeah, I couldn't have done what we did in 2020 without you. So your guidance through all that stuff, and your knowledge of all the political community and the Filipino American political community. You basically know every Filipino American elected representative in California, and they're all on your on your favorites call list on your phone. You've really worked with everyone from Rob Munta to just every single notable Filipino American politician you can think of. You helped them or was part of their rise to fame and rise to office. So you wanted to, and now you're going to say, I want to help you write comedy. Are you kidding me? Come on, let's go, homie. Are you kidding? Come on. Because
so funny.
because it's funny that you say your wife and how she's very adamant about social justice, and in the way, and how you say that she supported you and she supported your dreams and your wishes. I remember when I had just done Magno Rubio in Chicago, and I turned equity, and I was not getting turned down, but I was having to turn down the non-equity shows that were my bread and butter in Chicago when I was there. My lifeblood, teach me how to act, teach me how to be on stage and the whole thing. And then my wife was like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, well, it's either New York or LA at this point, because I have a SAG card and now I have an equity card. So it's whether I want to be on stage or I want to be on TV and movies. And my wife was like, I don't want to live in New York. It's too expensive. It's too crowded. And I'm from Iowa. And I'm like, okay. And she's like, but I have always wanted to live by the beach. And I'm like,
perfect.
Okay. So I went to LA once, by myself in 2001. And then when I met her, we after we got married, we moved back and we came back here, and we've been here ever since. We have both my daughters, and yeah, man, I'm at a point now where I've found, because in Chicago you don't have this stuff. We're just now getting to have, my generation X, and even maybe the subsequent generation before, we're just now having some representatives from those generations running for office in Chicago. Yeah. But in here, you have generations of folks that have been in office, and it's surprising that there still has never been a Filipina. I interviewed Jessica Coloza just recently, and there's never been a Filipina in state assembly. and even Isabel Jurado, and how there's never been a Filipina in the Los Angeles City Council. So the fact that you've been a part of this whole thing, man, because I don't want to just let me I'm going to pause because I'm in a Kendrick, confrontational way. I'm in a confrontational mood, but I'm going to say it like this. I don't want to be just another Filipino American comic who makes people laugh. You knew that when you met me. If any of y'all have been following me since, the Mini Pacquiao days, you know that I'm not trying to just make you laugh. I'm trying to make you think. I'm putting historical things in my comedy. I'm putting, different context in my comedy. And also I'm doing this podcast where we're talking about current events and current things. And to kind of like, we're only on the first 10 minutes, right? Yeah. So I kind of want to give them a feel of our rapport and our thing, because we were already talking about what's going on in pop culture, because this is going to go up on Friday. The audio of this is going to go up on Friday, and maybe some of the clippets of this are going to go up tomorrow or whatever. I don't know. I mean, we're going to play with this because this is fun. I'm enjoying this very much. So part of what I wanted to bring Chris here for is for someone to, have a little back and forth on pop culture and the days of going on, because you're talking about a cat who has been involved in politics and knows the ins and outs of politics and how politicians move. And now you got a comedian who studied political science and wants to make you laugh, but also wants to make you think. Mm-hmm. Because again, Kendrick inspired me, because I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to spoil it yet, but there is going to be a Euphoria freestyle against Tagalog Kurt from me. There's something's coming. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. I'm excited.
Okay. I'm excited. What do you think about the whole hip hop thing that happened this past weekend? I just to divert the conversation for a little while, loosen us up and have a little fun, and also stay current with the podcast. So what do you think of the current? I almost don't want to call him Drake anymore. I'll say Aubrey versus Kendrick beef.
I had to get educated for my son. We were out celebrating some stuff this weekend, and he came down from college, and he just told me about it and how he felt. And overall, from what I've heard, plus his kind of take on it, I think overall, it's you're going to have this beef. You're going to have these people, this back and forth, these rap battles, these diss tracks, and all these things. For me, as somebody who feels like an emerging artist, I think a lot of it is just, it's funny. It's also serious, because they're getting into some really deep stuff about each other. But as somebody who's just watching from the outside, it's and somebody who appreciates the art of it. And just Kendrick, just amazing. Just as a lyricist, I respect him so much. My son gave me one of the best compliments he's ever given me. He's like, Dad, I think you'd like Kendrick. He's a really good lyricist, and you're a good writer. I was like, all right, so let me try to write stuff. He's like, I didn't say that. I just said I think you'd like him. I'm like, okay. He's like, don't try anything. But to see them and see what comes out of emotion, regardless of what it is, that's the art of it, right? I mean, if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're elated, if you got broken up with, if whatever, and you can turn that into something to create something that's just beautiful in its own way, because it's coming from the most purest, authentic part of yourself. That's inspiring. Like you said, it inspired you to do that.
It's so inspiring, because I'm a child of hip hop. I'm 50 years old. I'm literally as old as hip hop.
As old as hip hop, yeah.
I am, right? I saw all the battles. I followed all the battles like the Super Bowl, just in the same way that we were all doing that this past weekend. I followed all of them. Cannabis and LL and Nas and Biggie. I'm sorry, Nas and Jay-Z and Biggie and Tupac and Biggie and Tupac was crazy. Part of the reason that Biggie and the significance of Biggie and Tupac were the ramifications of this current beef, because if Drake hadn't used the AI with the Tupac stuff, I really don't think Kendrick would have gone gone at him so hard.
Yeah.
But then when he brought up his family, but the details of the rap are neither of the battle are neither here nor there. There's always, and I've been listening to a lot of coverage of this, and I've been listening to a lot of people who know a lot more about hip hop even than I do. And the talk of it now, since it's kind of like come to an end, is there's like this cultural shift. You know what I'm saying? Like there was Kendrick, who is this authentically, young kid from Compton, first album, Good Kid, Mad City, which if you haven't listened to any of Kendrick's albums, listen to all his old albums. Like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I re-listened to it during this beef, and the song that Drake refers to in the beef, The Mother I Sober, I was listening to that shit in my backyard, and I'm like talking about it and recounting it now, like makes me choke up, because that song, it's not even a song. That shit is a catharsis. Like it is a beautiful song about this guy and generational trauma. And it's like, and it applies so much to a lot of details, even in my own life, that's what an artist can do. You know what I'm saying? That's what art can do. That's what hip hop can do. That's what music can do. But for me, as a comedian, I feel, just in the way that Richard Pryor did, just in the way that, all the other allegations aside, the way that Bill Cosby did, the way that Eddie Murphy did, the way that Dave Chappelle did, the way that even Jerry Seinfeld, dumbass, right now, I mean, he's saying some stupid shit now, but the way he shifted the culture when he was at his height and at his pinnacle. Comedy can also change it, because we're, in a lot of ways, I feel like comedians are today's philosophers and moralists in the same way that your MCs in hip hop are the same thing. They're the philosophers, they're the moralists. And obviously Kendrick is the best of the philosophers. He's the best of them, like when you listen to Mos Def and his opinion of Drake and how he's, it's nice when
when you're in Target,
aggressive shopping, it's very consumerism. And there's this movement. Look at the kids in the colleges right now. It's this cultural shift where, like, I don't want to necessarily speak on all the stuff that's going on in Gaza and what's going on in Israel, to the point, because I don't know because I know that there's hundreds of years and not even that, at least decades of history when it comes to this conflict. And there's so many back and forth bad on both sides that it's hard to, but at the same time, what's going on at this very moment right now, it's really fucked up. And it kind of brings me to another rap that is currently, like, this guy Macklemore. Have you heard this Macklemore rap?
Yeah.
Where he talks about, and he had me the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had me throughout the whole thing until he said, and fuck no, we're not voting for you in November. And I was like, so what's the alternative, bro? You get, like, we understand that Hamas is messed up, but what's the alternative? Because the other alternative is farting his way awake in court right now. If farting his way awake, does that sound make sense? That farting himself, there it is, farting himself awake.
Yes.
That's what Amber Ruffin said on Seth Meyers. She said he was farting himself awake, which is funny as shit, but it's true. Is this old fat man sitting in front of the porn star that spanked him with his magazine on his face, that he reminded him of his daughter. I know we know these things, but it's just, I can't even, how? What is this? I get it. I understand all I can't even begin to try and justify what's going on in Hamas. There's nobody can do it. And at the end of the day, the person you need to keep blaming is Netanyahu. From everything that I've said, everything I'm looking at, the first person and last person you should be blaming is Netanyahu, because at the end of the day, and I'm not trying to justify, because he could have stopped. I don't know. We could talk about this more as we go, but it's funny that the hip hop, there was a line in the Macklemore rap where he talks about, and no, we don't need a response from Drake. So he wrote this shit this weekend or at some time where he's like, hey guys, we shouldn't be paying attention to Kendrick and Drake. We should be paying attention to my rap and everything I'm rapping about and these issues here. And it's a very admirable cause, but I want to, what's your opinion on it? What do you think?
I mean, back to the artist thing that we were talking about, right? I mean, like everybody's going to be able to produce something and say something. And when it comes from a specific emotion or your authentic self, it's going to come out and, you know, we'll have our opinions and whatnot. I respect those that do create, especially now that I'm trying to create more myself. I heard it just briefly. Like I said, my wife sent it to me early this morning. I was like, all right, let me listen to it. I was moving stuff and I didn't really get to
you know what? I'm going to do something unprecedented, Chris. Okay. Why don't we just listen to it? Because I think I have it on my phone. Wait, do I? No, I don't. But we can I can pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up and let's listen to it.
Okay.
Because I don't think he has copyrights on it, so it's not going to affect the podcast. And the song by Noah Lazarus in the beginning of the podcast already messes up our copyright because homie sent me a copy without a copyright release. So my shit gets hit with a copyright anyway. But it's okay. It's all good, Noah. Don't worry about it. I'm still going to use Tectonic. Shout out to Noah Lazarus, who is the guy the artist who plays, that's the theme song of the podcast. But here, let's listen to it, and then you can give me your opinion on it. I think that'd be cool. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, Macklemore. I saw somebody else on a podcast do this morning, and I was like, "Oh, that's a fucking good idea. Let's do that." So here we go. Let's go ahead. Can you see it? Can you hear it?
Threatening about divesting of one piece. The problem isn't the protest, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. When I was 7, I learned a lesson from Cuban Eazy-E. What was it again? Oh yeah, fuck the police. Actors and badges protecting property and a system that was designed by white supremacy. But the people are in the streets. You can pay off Meta, you can't pay off me. Politicians who serve by any means. APAC, Kofi, and all the companies. You see, we sell fear around the land of the free. But this generation here is about to cut the string. You can ban TikTok, take us out the algorithm, but it's too late. We've seen the truth, we bear witness. Seen the rubble, the buildings, the mothers, and the children, and all the men that you murdered. And then we see how you spin it. Who gets the right to defend and who gets the right of resistance? It's always been about dollars and the color of your pigment. But white supremacy is finally all glass, screaming free Palestine to their home and last. We see their lies and claiming it's anti-Semitic to the anti-Zionists. I seen Jewish brothers and sisters out there writhing in solidarity and screaming free Palestine with them organizing and learning and finally cutting ties with the state that's gotta rely on apartheid system to uphold an occupying violent history been repeating for the last 75. The Nakba never ended, the colonizer lied. It's students in tents posted on the lawn, occupying the quad is really against the law, and the reason to call and the police and their squad where the genocide land in your definition, huh? Destroying every college in Gaza and every mosque, pushing everyone in the Rafah and dropping bombs. The blood is on your hands, Biden, we can see it all, and fuck no, I'm not voting for you in the fall.
That's where he lost me.
Twist the truth, the people out here united, never be defeated when freedom's on the horizon. Yet the music industry's quiet, complicit in their platform of silence. What happened to the artist? What you gotta say? If I was on a label, you could drop me today. I'll be fine with it cause the heart fed my page. I want a ceasefire, fuck a response from Drake. What you willing to risk? What you willing to give? What if you were in Gaza? What if those were your kids? If the West was pretending that you didn't exist, you want the world to stand up and the students finally did. Let's get it.
What'd you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, like it's just, I hear it and I feel it at the same time. My lens specifically has been, my son just started college. Like he's finishing up his 3rd quarter in school, and almost every other week he's saying like, this is happening on my campus. This is, this is what protests are usually like all this, and keeping up with, divestments and things he's trying to learn. And And like hearing a song like this, it's like it resonates from the lens of a father of someone who's part of Gen Z, you know, like, and like hearing what matters to them and why it's important because of all the, like, it just, forget the both sides. We got to make this right. Like, I mean, you're making us choose, but the only thing that really matters, like, stop killing people. Like, these people are dying, children are dying, and you guys are like torn because of left or right, or, you know, A or Z or whatever the case may be. And like having these kids that are just so sharp, man. They're so sharp. They know, like, what's the bottom line.
They've had the world's information in their hands and been militarily trained every day in school to barricade their doors. Like, these kids are a different breed of kids. I don't you know, like, I empathize with everything they're talking about. The only thing, and I've always empathized very much more on that side of things. I've very, very much leaned very, very, obviously, you know, I'm very, very left, to the point where sometimes we have to have discussions about what I can talk about when we were talking about stuff during 2020, because we were representing FilAms for Biden. And I still want to do that. And that's part of what I want to why I want to talk about it here. That sentiment, I can understand, and I empathize with that sentiment. I have a lot of friends who have that sentiment. Why we got to choose between these two old guys again? And I always, especially when it comes to politics, especially when it comes to this country, I go back to my political mentor, my political Jesus, I call him, you know, Mr. Barack Hussein Obama. Yeah, I say Hussein because I want to say his whole fucking name, because it's authentic and good.
It's all of them. Yeah,
but Barack, when Barack was on, and that's why I have this podcast, literally the fucking moment he said this shit on Mark Maron's podcast on WTF. Go back and listen to it. If you don't listen to this podcast, y'all, every American should actually listen to this podcast, because when you talk about like a conversation where, oh, I'm gonna sit down and have a beer with my president, that is the first time I ever felt like I sat down and had a beer with my president, during that conversation with Mark Maron. And I then made a promise to myself. I was like, okay, Mark Maron's a stand-up comedian. I'm a comedian. I can't stop talking. So I know that podcasting is something that I should start doing. But now that's my fucking goal. That is my goal. I'm not going to swear when Barack comes, but when Barack comes to my house, or when Barack and I are on, I won't swear. I promise. I won't swear when I meet Michelle either, but we are going to meet Barack and Michelle. For real. Because he said this, all that to say this. He said on the Mark Maron podcast, America is like a battleship or like a cruise ship. You can't turn it or change it drastically, or else it's going to sink like the Titanic. You got to turn that shit gradually and slowly. And Trump was a fucking wild card. Trump was something that probably shouldn't have happened, but for what was it, like 25,000 electoral votes in 2016 or some shit, and shitting all over my Cubs World Series by having him win the election. We can't ever have nice things in Chicago, by the way. Anyway, I digress. No, but you think it'll get better if you give your fuck you, or don't show up, or don't vote, or vote for Trump as a fuck you to Biden because of what's going on in Israel? You think it's going to get better? Or do you think with Trump already is talking about how he wants to, he's up in Netanyahu's booty. He's all up in, he wants the approval of all those guys, all those, you know, aggressive folks, all the guy in what's his name? The dude from, well, of course, Putin. We know, but like all those dictators, Kim Jong-un, and even China, all those guys, he wants to be like them. So if you want to do that, know that it won't get better in Hamas if Trump is elected. Yeah. It'll get a lot worse. The only way it would get better is I understand that everybody thinks the system is broken, and I agree. I feel like the only way that we could really fix this the right way is if Biden were to win, the Democrats won the House in a big majority, and the Senate and they won the Senate in a big majority so that we could do some constitutional amendments, because you need 2/3 of both houses and the president's signature in order to pass constitutional amendments. And you're not going to get 2/3 of Congress when you got Marjorie Taylor Greene in that office. It's just not going to happen. And that's why the country moves so fucking slow, is because you got 50 states and 400 million people to wrangle. It moves slow. And so, yeah, I get it, man. I get it why you wouldn't want to participate in this bullshit, because it is. It's been rigged since the beginning, and we've been trying to de-rig it since. The more perfect union. That's the basic term. That's it. The more perfect union. It's not perfect, and we got to try every day to make it that way. It's never gonna probably be perfect.
Yeah.
But that's what that's what a democracy is. And everybody got to be involved. And if you check out because of how you feel about one person or another, I don't know. Times are crazy nowadays, and I don't want them to get crazier. I'd rather have the old dude. Jimmy Kimmel said this line. Let me read this line, because this shit is crazy. It blew my mind when he said it. And I want to read it and give him his credit, because not only did, Kendrick and Drake have bars this weekend, but Jimmy Kimmel had some bars too, right here. He goes, "Just because you think Alfred is too old to take care of the Batcave, don't replace him with the Joker." Jimmy Kimmel, y'all.
Love it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you ran the digital arm of FilAms for Biden during 2020.
Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about how we're going to bridge 2020 to 2024, and what we were doing in 2020, and how we're gonna, obviously we're gonna be doing a lot of this, but also what do you think? What do you think? What do you think about 2024? What do you think in the next couple of months? What is your prognostications, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I've been sharing with, we're trying to bring the team back together, especially with FilAms for Biden. We're trying to see who the leadership is. And what I suggested to them was, we did a lot of great things in terms of organizing and getting, state representation for all the Filipinos that we were working with. I think if we were very focused on, and I'm biased because I had such an amazing digital team, but if we did digital first in terms of the campaign outlook and what we're all these different formats that we've learned from, that we've almost perfected. I mean, even with, you learning StreamYard is just a great idea, because it's we have these tools in front of us, and for us to utilize them is great. I think there will be on the ground stuff. There are ground campaigns, obviously, in every state, every city, localized stuff. But in terms of a campaign like this, which has, an amazing team, limited resources, limited time for a lot of folks that have gone on to be, in the White House even. We've got folks that are working in the White House, in the administration, elected officials that were already there that have moved on up. But I think the most realistic thing for this team will be, and again, it won't be up to me because I'm not one of the chairs, but what I suggested was, let's reinvent this and make sure that it's digital first, and make sure that we utilize all these tools. If we're not going to have a budget or money or whatever, we do have the talent, we have the time, we have the ability to organize in ways that a lot of other people do, right? And we might as well utilize these in our favor. If we can't afford signs or mailers or the traditional ground campaign, that stuff isn't going to work, then let's not use that right now. Let's focus on what we do have, and not on, we need to live in a spirit of what we do have, what we appreciate, not a deficit, but blessings, right? And from there, it's all digital. We can email all day. We have MailChimp. We've got StreamYard. We've got Zoom all day. We've got, social media platforms. We've already created the digital media that I just have to change the numbers on some of these things, and we've got graphic designers, just amazing stuff. And we know for those, we're talking about this next generation, if we're going to reach out to them, this is the platform to do it. If we're serious about that, if they're the ones that we're going to reach out to, they want to make the change, we want to give them the platform to do that. Digital is going to be the way to go anyway, right? And then They can do what they want, like I said, locally. Like all politics is local. You talked about that in one of your previous episodes. We want to continue that, and that's fine. But if we're going to be realistic about a nationwide campaign run out of mostly California, let's be honest, most of us are out here in California working on this. We want to make sure that we do the best of our abilities, and the best of the abilities will be not flying out anywhere, not doing ground campaigns ourselves, but working with those who are doing it and giving them tools to do so.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and any way that I can be a part. I was trying to look on my phone because I know that the Gerardo campaign asked me to co-host something, and I can't remember what the date is. So if you're listening to this, hit me back with another DM, because I got a lot of DMs and I'm looking through them. I'm trying to find the date that you want me to be a co-host for one of her fundraisers, and I'm down to do it. But hit me back if you hear this. I'm looking. I'll find it. No, but I'm really happy to be a part of that, because it's easy to be cynical. It's easy to lose hope because there's a lot of shitty stuff going around. But I'll bring it back to the conversation we were talking about, and I want to bring it back to the Kendrick and Drake beef, just to wrap it up, only because I feel like that was a brilliant way we ripped, through your life, your experiences and your political experiences, but then got into the current events of the rap beefs, but then also talked about Macklemore, and then we talked about into how that affects the Biden campaign and the political ramifications of the youth vote, and how we want to use FilAms for Biden and FilAms just in general to help at least avoid the chaos. Yeah. Right. And I wanted to share and end the podcast on this note. I found this video off this lady, and again, I saw this on another podcast that was covering the rap beef, and I thought it was a poignant and really way of kind of summing up our podcast and our discussion, because I feel like the cultural shift that happened when the consumerism rapper, who's always been popular and whatever has been kind of torn down, and the conscious rapper that talks about going to therapy and having a good relationship with your kids and being a good dad, and that's the one that's being exalted. And I want to play this video that this other I'm starting to play these videos on this podcast because I saw it on another podcast and I thought it was a great thing. But I want to play this because it really touched me. It almost gave me a little lump in my throat, only because I've taught high school and I've taught kids, so I know how kids can be. So let's just say it like that. But anyway.
If anyone needed further proof that Kendrick is winning this thing, you should have stepped foot in a high school today. I, up until today, taught at a very Drake-centric high school. Rich Baby Daddy is the most frequently requested song to put on my class playlist. If I ask students what they're listening to in their headphones, Drake. The week after the leak was a nightmare. But today I walk in and I can feel that there has been a tectonic shift. The second I walked into the building, I could hear the buzz. I could kind of overhear the conversations. And I was like, oh my God, this is a Kendrick school now. I polled my classes on what they thought, and they were ready to throw down for Kendrick. I had like one Drake defender in each class, if that. And honestly, I feel bad for those kids because they were getting screamed at. I had a kid walk into class, phone over his head, blasting BBL Drizzy. And then he went up to his friends and got them to freestyle on it. Like, excuse me, this was a Drake high school. I have students who hate reading who are doing the most meticulous, close reading of these lyrics that I have ever seen. They're finding subtle quadruple entendres and like explaining them eloquently to their peers. This is a cultural moment and a true educational experience for everyone.
Love it.
Follow her at Still a Teacher on TikTok. Still a Teacher. She's just TikTok and wisdom, guys.
Yeah.
But that right there, when she talked about how these kids who don't even like to read are finding triple and quadruple entendres in Kendrick's words.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to read another quote, and I don't know why, but I'm getting emotional because this shit means a lot to me.
Yeah. You're a teacher, you're an artist, you're a parent.
I'm a teacher, I'm a parent, I'm a comedian teacher.
Yeah.
I want to teach people
No. I can't wait to hear it. I'm sitting. Okay.
Remember, Kendrick Lamar grew up in Compton, California. Yeah. So I'm not saying I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. Tupac Shakur. And I feel like the brain that sparked and changed the world was Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. So y'all bump, not like us. And I'm going to warn you right now, Tagalog Kurt, my verse is coming. It's coming because you're not like us. And when you say kuya, it makes me cringe.
Oh, love it. Oh,
all right, y'all. Bye-bye.
I don't think you want any problems, but you got one. Here we go. See the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. It's summertime, starting up a heat wave, and now all weekend, hardly slept in 3 days. Whoever's driving the car's the DJ. When it's Q, y'all better pump that bass. The dominance is obvious, I guillotine, heads roll everywhere I go, I rep Philippines. Found my way, turn amaze to amazing. Infinite flows discovered in an ancient spaceship. I see things before they happen, visionary. Bury me inside a studio at the cemetery. My modus operandi not monetary. Noah Lazarus, the holy one out the monastery. So let me see your cue, plus the Y, that's the crew. I'm a giant, how I grew, still connected to my roots. Rhymes, I kick it like Bruce, got me feeling like Zeus. Standing tall like Manu, to reach this level need a boost. I don't think you want any problems, but you got one, here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Smoother than Brazilian wax, that's interact. My life a cinematic reflection in the mirror max. With the pros, I'm proliferating. She said my syntax sounds so scintillating. Flavormatics on the beat savory. Being scared, still doing it, that's bravery. Hunger turn us into savages. Ain't nobody give us nothing, had to do it alone, without a loan. Like Nora from Queens, Aquafina had the shell toe. Adidas used to hang with the drug dealers. Been doing this since cassette tapes in my Walkman, writing rhymes on the subway. Traditions I carry on, hip hop scholar, mastered in the street science. Raw diamonds, I refine them with the stars in alignment. Got the youth to the truth. On the tree of knowledge, squeeze forbidden fruit and made it juice. I don't think you want any problems, but you got one, here we go. You can see the size is colossal. Look at the way she make the thing go. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. Make it gyrate, make it shake like tectonic plates. That's what you call an earthquake. Ayy. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you. I just wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night, wanna dance all night with you.